Most people didn't respond to our email.
What?
Some did.
Are you sure?
Some did and said,
that doesn't sound right.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dale Bush.
Why does there need to be 10 covers for the last issue of a miniseries? How many covers were there for, like, issue 3?
Probably not that many. But
there were that many for issue 1, I'm sure.
This is going to have... So it's Inferno number 4, cover 1 by Jerome Pena, cover 2 by Pepe Larraz, cover 3 by David Baldeon, cover 4 by Ivan Coelho, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, cover 4 by Jeff DeCal.
Wait, that was cover 4.
I'm sorry.
Cover 5.
Sorry. Cover 5 by Jeff DeCal, cover 6 by Davi Go, cover 7 by Peach Momoko, cover 8 by Oscar Vega, cover 9 Foreshadow variant cover by Camo.
What? Oscar Vega seems to have come out of nowhere, and yet just
cover
does a ton
10 Hidden Gem variant cover by Udon. It's like an old Mystique cover.
Oh God.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I assume it's just another artist that they've found online, and were like, oh, just do a bunch of covers for us. Because clearly we're going to have miniseries where the 4th issue needs 10 covers.
10 covers for the 4th issue. And this is not anything that is new in the comics industry, but I really wish, and I'm vocalizing it for the comic fan, not for the retailers, because the retailers all know this. Mm-hmm. There needs to be some sort of unified way of describing a book on an invoice, or just how...
Sure. Did you see that PRH is finally adding the ratio of a ratioed variant to the actual title?
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a good step in the right direction.
Yeah. What's
a terrible step for PRH is the invoice we got today with all of next week's trades.
Uh-huh.
I needed a code-breaking machine. What's that called from the World War II?
Enigma?
I need the Enigma
machine
to figure it out.
Sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a bunch of consonants. I'm like, hey, Donovan, look at this. What do you see? She's like, oh, that one says X-Men?
Yeah, I don't use those ever. The stuff they email us for Marvel releases, I don't use because it's always impenetrable
codes.
This was
the packing slip in the box.
I don't use that either.
How do you check in a box then?
I'll use the pre-delivery invoice. I'll just download that as a CSV, and then I will cobble it together. Like, that's my check-in sheet for, like, the Marvel books on, like, a Monday.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that when it's a ton of stuff, but this is, like, 6 books.
I
could figure it out.
I do both of them together on one sheet.
Sure. Yeah. But I'm saying, like, it wouldn't be worth...
Okay.
You could figure it out. It's just all gibberish.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that, for Lunar and DC, the DC invoices are full title of the book, like Legends of the Dark Knight, cover A, Derek Robertson. Legends of the Dark Knight, oh, I forgot, like number 6. Cover B, Jerome Pena, cardstock variant, parentheses, Fear State.
Right.
It's a lot of information you get through.
It's a lot.
Like, I know they want to tell you that it's the B cover. Nobody else uses first names as well. Everybody else just uses last names, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, sure.
And I get it that you want to let people know, oh, it's Fear State, but I always truncate parentheses of 5 parentheses,
sure.
Parentheses MR for mature readers, parentheses, parentheses, BEY parentheses for beyond or whatever.
Right.
I just want Amazing Spider-Man number 82. But now I wish that they would all, because Marvel goes Amazing Spider-Man 82, Amazing Spider-Man 82 Anka variant, and then just alphabetical by last names for all the variants, and that's all. So it doesn't say what's a ratio until they're doing it now. You're saying
now they're doing it. I think it's with this week's FOCs, so basically it's going to be another 3 to 4 weeks before we see that on the invoice.
And they're also not saying who does the A cover.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, sure, I know it's Art Adams because it's Amazing Spider-Man. That was my reference, or that was my example. But not every, like, just tell us who does. You're going to do that. Just now that I'm embracing that, when I used to hate it, now just tell me that.
Sure.
Just so people get the information. There's no unified data set, and I know that everybody will argue with what they want and how they want it done. For instance, I think PRH should never use punctuation in their titles.
Yeah.
No colons.
Nope.
No commas.
Sword doesn't need to be an acronym. It can just be the word sword.
It can be the word sword. Yeah, fine. We get it. Because that changes where it goes alphabetically on their invoices versus where it goes alphabetically on our shelves.
Yep. We
put it under X for sword. No, we don't.
No, we don't.
I had a guy today bring up the Marvel previews and say, "What is this X Deaths of Wolverine? There's no content to this." Like, it's just a catalog. It tells you everything. Oh, okay. You didn't let me finish. Also, it's 10 deaths.
Also, I mean, if you just opened it up, you'd see that it was a catalog.
Well, he did open it. That's why he was confused.
Oh, okay.
He didn't understand what that's like. It's just like text and pictures.
Yeah.
No, it's a catalog. It says Marvel previews on it. If you just read it, it'll say. That's fine. But yeah, there'll never be a unified invoice that does everything everybody wants.
Nope.
But man, it'd be great if people got together and said, "Oh, this is how we're going to do it."
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I do like how Boom does it with, cover A, this person, cover B, this person, cover D, 1 in 10, or cover D, 25.
10 copy incentive.
10 copy, whatever.
50 copy incentive.
Yeah, and then unlockable variant or retailer thank you. Fine, that gives you all the information in it. It's long, but also I used to never put cover A or cover B for things because it's not. If you look at specifically this week's new release list on the challengerscomics.com website, or
for books shipping 11/17?
new releases.challengerscomics.com for the books shipping the 17th, each segment, each section, each Marvel, DC, Independent, Image, they're all a different format.
Yeah.
Last week, I spent all the time making everything match, but that meant going into PRH's website and looking up who does every Marvel A cover.
Right.
And then saying, using my own coding for cover A, cover B, incentive, things like that. This week, it was not that, because there was no time. It was all just as much information as I could put together and send out. And the newsletter was only like an hour and a half late.
Sure. But at least it had everything in it. That was pretty cool.
It did have everything in it, which I had done, like the Marvel and DC stuff the night before. So, Dow, why was our newsletter late?
Diamond Comics Distribution was hit with a ransomware attack last weekend, the Friday before. So that was the 5th, November 5th. We had gotten an email at the time that we didn't really understand what it was about, that Diamond's offices would be closed because they were having an IT problem, so they sent all of their employees home. And Diamond's had IT problems before.
Websites go down, things happen.
Yeah, websites
Code
under
breaks.
maintenance for longer than you'd like, or something happens. They've
Trying
also
to install an update or make some structural changes to the website.
Sure, and they've also had instances where inclement weather has caused, an outage or something, and they've had to send people home. So, on its own, it wasn't that big a deal. But as it persisted through the weekend, I started to think, sounds a bit like a ransomware attack. And sure enough, on, I think it was Sunday, maybe, Diamond had sent out an email saying, hey, we got hit by a ransomware attack. And they've been dealing with it for the rest of the week. Certain functionality came back on Monday, I think the retailer website, and for us, it affected our ability to use Comic Suite because Comic Suite, which is the subscription management software that Diamond designed and services, needs to kind of constantly hit Diamond servers to be able to, refresh information and pull down the data that we need for things like the weekly receiving. So we weren't able to do that until pretty late on Monday. We also weren't able to do the FOCs through Diamond this past week until I think I did them late Sunday night.
Late Sunday night.
Once it was clear that we were actually able to get the data down from Diamond to do the FOCs and then upload it so they would have access to it. And yeah, Diamond's been dealing with it for the rest of the week. Thankfully, it didn't impact us terribly much. in that we were still able to pick up our books at the Expediter on Tuesday as normal. A lot of stores who were farther away from us or maybe didn't have the option of picking up did not get their books until later in the week.
Ironically, the Baltimore hub, which is the closest to Diamond.
Yeah, and like Dallas as well and somewhere else, was not able to get them until I think Wednesday or Thursday. And we've already been cautioned by Diamond that the following week's books, that's all the stuff scheduled for release on November 17th, will be in stores by the latest Friday the 19th. Different stores will get them at different times depending on, again, access to pickups and distribution hubs. And
if you're a UPS account versus if you're a pickup account.
Yeah, it is taking Diamond longer to pack and ship the week's books than they would have had they not been dealing with a ransomware attack. And basic IT infrastructure is taking longer to get back up depending on what function it is and how damaged it was or how locked away it was. So we won't find out until I think Monday from Diamond what our availability for picking up looks like, if that's going to be on Tuesday or if that's going to be later in the week.
It's funny that you keep mentioning that there was a ransomware attack and how
It was a ransomware
you suspected it was a ransomware attack long before they told us.
I did. Not long before. I mean,
long enough that it's suspicious, and
it's not suspicious.
it was pointed out to me by a fellow retailer that several weeks ago, someone on this very podcast was hypothetically saying, what if something happens?
Like, what if something happens and you are unable in one way or another to do FOCs for a weekend?
What if there's some sort of, I don't know, ransomware attack, and retailers can't get in their FOCs on time? There has to be a backup.
Who was that?
It wasn't me.
Who, me?
Yeah, I played it for you. You've heard it.
I was actually going to do a bit where I was going to say, like, do you have any proof?
I do have proof.
That you would play it, but then you just jumped in.
Well, it's already been played in this episode.
Oh, is it? Okay.
People have already heard it at this point.
Okay.
So, yeah. What did you say for yourself?
Oh, it seems reasonable to suspect that any major company could get hit by a ransomware attack at some point in the foreseeable future because ransomware attacks are much more prevalent.
Aha, you didn't say anything about a ransomware attack in that clip I just played.
It's true. Yeah, it unfortunately, if you are a big enough company and you are...
Don't change the subject.
Servicing a large enough market...
Somebody had a point to try to prove.
You'll be a target for...
Is that a threat?
People
Are you threatening big companies right now?
Do ransomware attacks, unfortunately.
Hypothetically, nobody we know who does ransomware attacks.
Thank you, cryptocurrency.
So, I haven't heard a denial from you.
I didn't do a ransomware attack on Diamond Comic Distribution.
That's all I wanted to hear, Dow.
Okay.
Dow, I want to believe you.
Okay.
I mean, I was looking into your eyes when you said that, and I believe that that's the truth.
Thanks.
Because also, it really fucked up your day. That's the perfect cover.
Yeah, it didn't really... I mean, again,
so it didn't fuck up your day. Oh.
Well, I would say it fucked up my day. It didn't really fuck up my day. Like,
okay.
it was a nuisance in that, like, again, certain
it
functionality that we kind of depend on sort of wasn't available, and we had to work around that. And there was kind of this question mark for a few days of, like, when is this going to get fixed? Because they hadn't really given us the full scope of what was going on. It was just, our IT's down. Okay, what does that mean, and how long does it mean it for? But again, the fact that they were able to get FOCs up by Sunday night, which means we didn't miss out on doing FOCs for the week, as well as the fact that we got access to Diamond server to do Comic Suite stuff Monday night, meant we could still pull books on Tuesday. You could still pick up on Tuesday. We could still receive direct ship reorders. So it kind of got up to the wire for some stuff, but it didn't really, like, it didn't hurt us. It was just kind of a nuisance.
How much of a nuisance would it have been if that wasn't resolved? Could you, with that
real big,
with that being down,
uh-huh.
Can you not receive Marvel or Lunar books? Can you not pull? Can you not populate into subscriptions?
Correct. We couldn't pull Marvel or Lunar until the Comic Suite was up and running.
So
I tell a lie. Like, we couldn't use alternate vendor receiving, which is the way better function. We might have been able to go in and do like receiving by initial order. But the problem with that is that it doesn't catch all of the stuff that's on later purchase orders for those books. So you have to kind of go in and see, okay, do I need any more of these variants beyond what Comic Suite is telling me? If you do alternate vendor receiving, it kind of scoops them all up for whatever is under an item code that you have copies to fill. So yeah, we couldn't even do Diamond. We couldn't do DC. We usually receive DC Lunar stuff between like 4 and 5 on Sunday before we leave. I had to do it Sunday night at home remotely to make sure that we could do that and then still receive the Marvel PRH stuff the next day. If they hadn't gotten that functionality back up Sunday night, yeah, it would have been really bad on Monday. If they hadn't gotten it back up by Tuesday, it would have been really bad for everything.
Would we at least have known what quantities we needed for Club, not necessarily where they were going?
Yeah, all that. Well, you could even do that. It's just like the receiving part of it would have been really, really, really weird. Like, it would have been a bunch of like going in item by item, checking item dashboards to see who's got what. And this is assuming that receiving by initial order didn't work. I don't know if it would or wouldn't. It would be a thing where we would have to go in item by item, get a list of who's down for that book, either via subscription or special order, print that out, void those all out, and then do like special order from stock. And then we'd have to go into manager and then actually plug in the number of copies that we received. It would have taken forever. It would have been a bunch more steps for every single SKU, not even book, but like every cover, every variation.
But we could have put everything else on the shelves.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
we would have known what to keep aside. It would have been horrible for club members.
Oh
which
my God,
is the majority of a Wednesday business.
Yeah, for sure, and we would have probably been a lot. I don't know that we would have been able to have everything done by Tuesday night, and it would have been a lot more precarious. But thankfully, again, that didn't happen. Like, the Diamond was able to get stuff up and running at the 11th hour, but it was at the 11th hour at least.
It just seems weird that the two major publishers aren't even part of that structure for us, yet it still affects it.
Yeah, I mean, because Diamond services are subscription management software currently. So if their servers go down, it would be like if we were using Managed Comics and Shopify went down. It's like, it doesn't matter who you're receiving from at this point. You can't get to the data.
But if Managed Comics went down, we could still use Shopify.
Correct. But, I mean, like, there's other things that we still haven't gotten up and running. I don't know if you've noticed, but we haven't gotten any of the daily emails from Pullbox.
I just thought nobody was ordering anything.
Pretty sure they're ordering stuff. We just don't get that communication from Diamond.
Also, they haven't fixed their payment portal. So we haven't paid for
a few weeks worth of books?
No, just next week's books. Okay. We haven't paid for yet. Or was it this week's? I don't know. Whatever was due on the 10th, we'd already paid for. Uh-huh. But normally I pay for things. I pay Diamond. I pay Lunar on Thursdays and Diamond on Mondays because that's when both those bills become available. Mm. And the Diamond still hasn't become available yet.
Oh, jeez.
Also, and this is frustrating, it is already, 12 days into November?
Correct.
I haven't gotten the monthly notifications from either PRH or Simon & Schuster to let us know what we owe.
Great.
Like, I'm just randomly sending money to them, but I haven't seen... They're supposed to email and mail statements once a month.
Right.
And I haven't gotten anything yet for November.
Great.
That's not a good sign.
Nope.
If either of them had a functionality of the website where you could go and see, oh, this is your outstanding total or whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
kind of weird that the PRH especially doesn't have it, since they have so much flexibility on their retailer portal. Like, there's so many things you can do and see, and but like things like, what do I owe you and how do I pay you, are things where they're like, shrug.
Right. And after I had talked to somebody about this, our credit rep, a few months ago, they're like, well, we usually mail it out the first of the month, but if you want, I can make it so they email you. It's emailed to you the first of the month as well. I'm like, great, let's do that. It happened for 1 month. That was it.
That's it.
So I don't know.
Great big company doesn't want to get paid. I love them.
How does it?
Favorite distributor.
Yeah. With getting X amount of Marvel product from them every week, that bill just never goes down.
I'm just going to go ahead and say thousands of dollars worth of Marvel stuff every week.
Which I do randomly, like every 2 weeks, like, hey, here's a couple of grand. Apply it to what we owe, please.
Yep.
I don't know what that is. And also with their sheer wastefulness in shipping, today we got a box like this, like one of the longer, flatter ones, with two Why the Last Man compendiums in it.
Oh, neat.
Each from 2 different orders.
Great.
The invoice just said, Why the Last Man book.
Yep.
That's all.
That's all.
It wasn't until I opened the orders to see, oh, this order is 3, this order is 2.
Uh-huh. Hilarious.
And it's just like how much, the amount of bubble wrap in the box.
It's a lot.
For 2 books.
It's a lot.
And then when I opened the box with next week's Marvel trades in it, a ton of bubble wrap again, but also giant gaps between the books and the box.
Sure.
It's like, I don't understand. How are you doing this? I was talking to David Harper from Sketch.com today. Literally talking to him on the telephone.
Neat.
And he had mentioned how he had asked his wife to open the package we sent him for his copy of Monster.
Okay.
Because of how thoroughly it was taped. And I explained to him that with
He was going all the way to Alaska.
the horrible... Oh, no, he's happy for it.
Okay, good.
But because of how horrible the post office is here,
Yeah.
even if I'm sending out just a flat rate Priority Mail cardboard envelope, I tape all 4 sides because those split, those get beat up.
Sure.
There's been a lot of snow in Alaska. Like yesterday, they got 1.5 feet of snow.
Wow.
That monster box was just dropped in a drift on their porch.
That's awesome.
So the sheer amount of tape on the outside kept a lot of that moisture from
really
getting
funny.
into the box.
Wow.
So it's a good thing.
Nice.
It's like,
I hope
hey,
he enjoys the book.
that book doesn't fit into a normal box. It's a
really
weirdo
doesn't.
size.
It's so weird.
That's why it was packed so bad. Not bad, but so thoroughly.
Yeah, that's why it needed a box, was because the book itself was too big to fit into a regular envelope.
But even so, it barely fit into a medium flat rate box.
Yeah.
And then all the extra packing.
Oh.
It's just fun. He's like, I needed my wife to do it because I was afraid I was going to damage it. I didn't want to be too precious. But it made it, and it's safe. Made it through snowdrift. An Alaskan snowdrift.
Yay.
It happened. It was good. It got there. And when I talk like that, it's because I lost my train of thought, and I hope that I could figure it out before I get to the end of my sentence. Mm-hmm. But in that
Just
time...
keep making the sentence longer.
Well, that's why I decided to go into it and explain why I was doing it. Yes, and the sentence, but I forgot. I don't even remember what we were talking about. I literally, why did I start talking about David's Harper packaging?
You were complaining about PRH's packaging. And,
and
and
see, that
how
makes
over
sense.
the top it is.
That's because I'm not keeping thorough with my notes.
I see.
And I didn't. The last thing I had written down was about your ransomware attack against Diamond.
Allegedly. People are making scandalous allegations.
I mean, it's a A to B logic jump, really.
It's really not, but okay.
I'm just saying, I didn't see you at all last Friday. I didn't know what you were doing.
We recorded the podcast
at home
together.
on a computer. Oh, Diamond is already down by then. I meant in the morning.
Oh, yeah. What was it doing?
That's the weird thing about the ransomware attack happening last Friday. I was so busy with what I was doing at the store, I never even attempted to get onto Diamond's site, like I never needed to, just for some reason.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that sometimes works against me, where I'll be so involved in a thing in the store that I'm like, oh, it's 2:30 on a Friday, I should log into my email. Oh, look at all these orders I've missed.
For sure.
And they just sit there and wait, and they mock you.
Yep. They'll do that.
I can't think of a good segue into... wait, no, I got it.
Here it comes.
So we are... geographically, you and I are physically close as we're recording this.
Correct.
Some would say even emotionally closer.
Some would say.
But
it's been said.
There's points in the comics industry that are not as near as we are.
Okay.
So, what's the furthest place from here?
Home? The distance between now and when the second pressing of What's the Furthest Place From Here's first issue 7-inch comes out?
And go.
Okay.
No, I mean go. That's it. You got it. That's what I was going for.
Okay, so I think we've talked before about how... so every single time I think I get it wrong. What's the furthest place from here or from home?
Here.
Okay. I always think it's home. What's the furthest
At
place
least you
from
don't
here?
confuse the furthest versus farthest.
No, it's always furthest. What's the furthest place from here? The new 12-issue image series by Matthew Rosenberg and Tyler Boss. We had, I think, mentioned before that the first issue and every issue was going to include a 7-inch, split 7-inch by two different artists.
On
vinyl. And
that's it as an acronym.
We'd felt like it was going to be allocated because they'd announced like there was a set print run already, we had ordered, I think, 10 copies on initial order, thinking, like, this will be interesting. But then as it got closer to FOC, we were like, no, we really want to upsell this. We think a lot of people who are going to come in for the first issue are going to prefer the $14.99 deluxe edition with the 7-inch. So we need to make sure we have copies on hand. So we went up to, I think, 30 copies.
See, you said that. I always thought it was 50.
Maybe it's 50. I think it was 30.
But I mean, I wasn't the one who did it, so...
Well, let's say 30. So we went up to 30.
Let's compromise and say Molly Jane did
And
it.
then, so that was at FOC, and then basically, immediately, we were told by Image, hey, everyone's going to get allocated really heavily. Like, we don't have nearly enough to fill initial orders. We don't have enough to fill FOCs because we already manufactured these things. Like, there is no more to make. Which makes me think, why did you even do FOCs then? It's kind of the same problem I have with the Something's Killing the Children signed edition is going to be heavily allocated based on initial orders. And then they still went to FOC on it. And it's like, why did you do that when you knew that any increases would be unable to be filled? Like, I let people order that by FOC at my store because it was on FOC and I thought I was going to get those. And then I had to go, oh, by the way, that ain't happening. So that's a situation that I feel like, don't put it on FOC then. If you know that you don't have enough already, like, there's no chance that if you are already having to allocate, that the orders are going to shoot down so low at FOC that more copies are suddenly going to become available for the people who increased it. That's not how it works. As Image found out with What's the Furthest Place From Here #1 Deluxe Edition, where the numbers skyrocketed at FOC and then everyone got heavily allocated. At the time, Image had said that they were going to immediately take orders for a second pressing of the 7-inch with a different vinyl color, but that would be coming out 3 months after issue 1 came out. That's how long it takes to secure enough capacity at a vinyl processing plant to get a new order put in. And they were doing this with orders that needed to be placed basically within 48 hours of when they were announcing it, because it was like, this thing we have to get numbers in at the pressing plant, like essentially Monday, and we're telling you this on Friday. So we put our numbers in, and we emailed everyone to say, hey, you're not getting a copy of the #1 7-inch. Like, our allocation numbers were basically, no one who pre-ordered this is getting this. A lot of people had to be told, you're not getting it. You can get a regular copy of issue 1, which we will have plenty of and still do. You can get in for the second pressing of the 7-inch because we can order whatever we want on that. Or you can do both. If you want to get, an A cover now and then the 7-inch later, that's fine too. Most people didn't respond to our email.
What?
Some did.
Are you sure?
Some did and said,
that doesn't sound right.
I want this variant, or I want both, or whatever. But even in that email, we said, we don't know if this is going to be a problem going forward. It probably will be. Sure enough, with FOCs for What's the Furthest Place From Here #2 coming up this weekend, Image has notified us that issues 2 through 6 of What's the Furthest Place From Here will be heavily allocated on their vinyl editions. Keep in mind, we have not even initial ordered issues like 5 or 6, and they're already telling us the numbers are done. Here's what you're getting. We're in that Pokemon situation of, don't bother telling us what you want.
Don't ask.
Here's what you're going to get.
We'll tell you.
And what every store is going to get is 1 copy. Every storefront is getting 1 copy. That's it. They'll be taking solicitations for second pressings, but again, every second pressing is going to be about 3 months after the release of the corresponding print edition. So yeah, the whole thing is pretty terrible, and I get it, and I feel really bad for Matt Rosenberg and Tyler Boss, because Matt Rosenberg sent out one of his newsletters, and just the idea of he jokes about how cursed this book is, how basically every time they've had momentum on it, something terrible happens either to them or to the world. And I said to you, Patrick, in a chat exchange online earlier today, I kind of just wish that Image would just cancel the 7-inch edition.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, hey, half of the series is going to be 1 per store or incredibly delayed, just skip it. Just say, you know what, this didn't work out. Use the songs in some other way. Do a full album edition that comes with, the collection. Do that. And take your orders 6 months in advance so that you can actually follow through on all of this and build in enough buffer that if things go wrong, it's not going to be catastrophic again. Because this is just, it's sort of shitty. makes the 7-inch edition more or less an incredibly scarce variant, rather than something that people can actually get and enjoy. It's not great, and we have to, I have to, after we're finished recording, send out an email to all of our subscribers who are down for the 7-inch edition and say, it's not happening. We're not putting you down for it. You're getting the regular A cover. I'm sorry.
Well, it's not your fault.
It's really not, but I still feel bad about it, and it's a bunch of extra work we have to do for it. And it's a bummer. It's a great big bummer, like everything else in 2021.
And you can't put anybody down for the second prints of them until
Diamond actually puts them in the system, which is probably far down the list of things Diamond is going to work on over the next week.
You're listening to Contest of Challengers, where Dal knows exactly how large Galactus is.
Frustratingly,
Yeah.
we had somebody, a club member, sign up for a second print of a book that we have tons of copies of the first print
Yep.
on the shelf.
Because second prints don't mean second prints anymore. They mean new variant covers.
Right. So it was a book that I outright just wasn't going to order.
No, because we
don't
have a
need
ton.
it. But then I
Of
thought,
2 covers.
well, how many other people will want it?
I did the same thing for the House of Slaughter #1 second print that we're going to be getting in this week.
Yeah.
Because we had the same thing happen with Berserker. We ordered 1,000 copies of Berserker #1.
Literally 1,000
Literally
copies.
1,000. And yet we had people who were like, oh, you don't have the third print? Why would we have the third print? We've got hundreds of copies of the first print. They don't want the first print. They want the cover that's exclusive to the third print. Because the third print is scarcer than the first print because they made a lot less of them. Because that's how this stuff works. It's all flipped now.
And it's just extra work for, it's like, just, here's the story. Oh, no, you don't want the story.
You don't want the story. You don't even want the code. You want the different cover. The slightly recolored version of the Greg Capullo cover. Great.
I'm starting to wonder how much of the inner workings of the industry, really the outer workings, I guess is what I mean, people don't understand. For example, I was by myself for a bit today, and I had somebody come up saying they were buying I Am Batman #2, and they're like, yeah, I saw you're out of #3 ready. Is there a way I can get that? I'm like, oh, I didn't realize we were sold out of it. I had done the counts before, like, you know, my cheat notes for FOCs.
Sure.
And we still had one on the shelf.
Okay.
So, fine, took his name and number, put him in the book, blah, blah, blah. And weirdly, we had a rush in the 4 o'clock hour where it's just ringing up people after people after people. So by the time I get over to the shelves to check, I'm like, oh no, we still have a copy, but it's the B cover. And they probably didn't realize that is a thing because the backer card that said we're sold out of I Am Batman was exposed because we'd sold out of the A cover.
That was covering that card.
So I called him back, immediately got his voicemail, and left a message saying, hey, we have the B cover. If you don't want this one, let us know. Otherwise, this one's here waiting for you.
Right.
But anyway, it makes me wonder, even though we have a release board that says I Am Batman #3,
Sure.
cover A, this person,
Right.
cover B, this person. Like, that person looked at the shelf, saw the card, and said, oh, they're out of it. Even though the issue to the right of it was that comic.
Sure, but it's always worth noting that the B cover for a DC book is the Virgin variant.
That doesn't have a logo on it. It just has a small bit of text that says I Am Batman #3.
So unless you know what you're looking for and understand that, you would not buy it. You would think that was just a completely different comic book. Because it doesn't say I Am Batman on the cover with a great big logo like you're expecting to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you looked it up online and you know, like, oh, that was, it was a Sean Murphy cover or whatever. Like, you're looking for that Sean Murphy cover and it's not there. And there's nothing that says I Am Batman real big on it.
It's weird that you pull a Sean Murphy out of your hat because we were just talking about Sean Murphy today.
Okay, he did the cover to I Am Batman 3.
Oh, okay.
The A cover.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Sean Gordon Murphy?
I think so.
That's the one. So when we get stuff in early, like Lunar, and when there's a book in it like Soul Plumber #1, second print,
Yes.
and when we have like 6 special orders in the book,
Yep.
do we wait until you receive everything to fill those?
Yeah, generally.
Okay.
I mean, we'll probably call people like maybe Monday night or something and say, like, hey, it'll be on the shelves tomorrow. Because DC stuff can't release on Tuesdays, and stuff like second prints and special orders for stuff like that, I'm fine. Just
we don't
put them on the shelves until Wednesday, but I would sell them on Tuesday. It's fine.
There's a lot of that this week with the John Kent books.
Yeah, that's right.
The different covers of that.
Yep.
And Soul Plumber. There's
we got
I don't know,
people.
6 special orders.
Yeah, I think for
working.
Superman it's a little, it's 1 or 2 people.
Right. but still like, oh, this person wants B and C covers, not A, what have you. So as I was going through the book, I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is if it helps to do this ahead of time. I did have a guy call at like 4:20 and be like, hey, can you pull these 2 books for me? I'm not going to get in until right at 5 o'clock, and I don't want to waste your time. And I'm like, yeah, I'll pull them for you. But he got in at like 5:40. And he's like, did that help? Is this easier? I go, well, if you're really concerned about this kind of stuff, you can just buy it online ahead of time, and then we just walk in and I'll hand it to you. Mm-hmm. It wasn't anything new this week.
Right. So it would have been up there. Go on.
And I'm like, I thought you were going to like be at like 5 or 4:58. And he's like, no, I just want to make sure it was easier for like, I didn't know how close you lived in. I work in the service industry, and I know how much I hate people coming in at the very end of the day. So I don't want to be that guy. I'm like, all right, well, I mean, sure, it worked, but now now that you're here with 20 minutes left, I'd rather you walk around some more and look at things. And
Unless he's a Star Wars guy, and they never want to look around.
Nope, he was getting Department of Truth and Die.
Actually, he did a thing with someone who is a subscriber who only gets Star Wars stuff, and is one of those guys who comes right to the counter, says his name, gets his Star Wars book, leaves. This time I just did did you want to look around at all? No interest. Literally no interest in looking anywhere other than at the Star Wars book that he subscribes to.
And you know that, but you still had to say it.
I did, because it just...
Oh, I don't blame you.
I mean, some of it is this thing of like, we put so much work into the store and there's so many great books, and for someone to just be like, no, I just want the one book I'm subscribed to, it's like, why are you even shopping in a store then? Like, just buy it digitally. Like, what is the point? But the other thing is, so speaking of people asking for books and us having to hold them and then coming in and buying them, and when they could just buy them online, one of the things I kind of want to do when we switch over to Shopify Managed Comics is probably reconsider when we offer stuff through the storefront, maybe.
Okay.
We currently do it Saturday night. Mm-hmm. I'm maybe okay pushing that to like maybe Thursday or Friday. Okay. Wednesday is kind of not great because there's a lot of stuff. But Thursday... You
say that because you don't work Thursdays or Fridays or Saturdays.
I do. I mean, I don't think it makes...
That's not why you said it. Right. I know.
And I also don't think it's going to make a huge difference in the sense of I wouldn't expect us putting like new this week stuff up on Thursday rather than Saturday to be a huge mover.
Okay, then why do it?
Because one of the things I want to start doing more of is that when we're setting things aside for people, I immediately want to make purchase orders that we can send to them and say, pay for this.
Okay.
Whether that's a standing pre-order or something that they call in for. If they're not willing to like get it through the website, I want to do a thing where it's like, I don't want this to just sit in the box for a week waiting to get paid for.
Fair. That's an excellent point. I mean...
I want stuff where it's like, okay, cool, I will hold it for a week, and I'm sending you an invoice today. If this thing isn't paid for within a week, it's going back on the shelf, and it would be great if you could pay for it today. Like, not only does it, hopefully, help our inventory a little bit better, but just getting it paid for is a thing where it's like, this would be great.
Yeah, it's one thing to just have it languish in a box for a week, but then that's still in the system as available and active if someone wants to buy it online.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously... we would hope that people would, as this stuff is available online and they're coming to pick it up, like, instead of calling us and having us set it aside, buy it online and then pick it up whenever you want, because that's better for us. And hopefully it's better for you because it means that you don't even have to come in a week. Come in a month. I mean, as long as it's paid for, I'm saying. Like, I'm less... If you call in and you set something aside, you have a week and then it goes out. If you are someone who buys something online... come in a week. Come in 8 days, 9 days, 10 days.
I do know of stores that do the whole, hey, you bought this online, you have 7 days to get it, otherwise we're putting it back.
I don't know that I would do that. That feels weird to me. I mean, we could...
Also because I do believe there's a refund policy at that point. Like, you refund them,
I mean, we could do a thing where we make that stipulation, but, I mean, A, we'd have to figure out how to codify that, and B, we'd have to figure out, like, do you want to keep refunding people to come in for stuff? That doesn't feel like it's a great use of our resources.
Historically, our hold box but pickup rate is never been greater than 50%.
Yeah. And that's why that's the thing where in 2022, I would like us to have a better solution for that by putting an invoice directly in front of somebody who asks us to set something aside. And then also the same thing when a special order comes in, being able to text or email someone to say, hey, your book is in, here's the invoice, pay for it right now.
Well, along those lines, will Shopify also have a better program or system set up for layaway for multiple payments.
Maybe? Why?
Well, I mean, for the same thing. Like, if somebody wants to put a larger item on hold and they can't get it right away.
Oh, I'd rather not. I mean, in general, like, pay for it or don't. I don't love layaway.
Sure.
Because layaway is kind of the worst of both worlds, where something isn't entirely paid for, but you are sort of just staring at it, waiting for the rest of it to get paid for. Yeah, I don't like layaway. I don't like the record keeping. I don't like having to basically hound someone to pay for the rest of something they've already partially paid for.
Sure. That's what polls are. That's what subscriptions are.
Kind of. Like, the worst subscriber to have is someone who's like, oh, I got 20 books in this week. I'll get these 10 and come back for these other 10 next week. And it's like, it never empties out.
No.
You never, like, get straight with this because you are always buying a portion of what came in.
Was there a Managed Comics thought stream yesterday?
No, my understanding is that Brian Garside has jury duty.
Oh, right. You'd mentioned that was a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even have a chance to consider even watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I was out running errands and stuff yesterday, so I wouldn't have been able to get to it till later.
It's too bad, Dal. That's the last 18 minutes of this podcast was supposed to be talking about the
Sorry.
Managed Comics thought stream.
Sorry.
I will say that, speaking of Managed Comics,
Speaking of.
and I'll get back to that tie-in in a moment, we talked about making new signs last week, and we made a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Like half, maybe. And got them printed on really nice material.
Yeah.
And started putting them up. And I did an Instagram post and a Facebook post and a Tumblr and a, all the ones. Not your Twitches, though, or your TikToks or your Snapchats. Not those. And for the most part, it's all positive. But then we had a club member say, like, hey, those signs are great, but really an award for in-store signage? And I just wanted to say, okay, you're commenting on this on our Instagram page. Look back 4 posts, and you'll see the award itself. And really, you're gonna like, no, those are great, but really, you got to sign for that, an award for that. Don't do that. But the reason it ties into Managed Comics is because our good friend Brian Garside said, in accordance to our new signs. And are winning the award. Yes. You are already leaps and bounds ahead of number 2. Now you've skyrocketed past.
Number 2. Yeah, it is a little funny that we won the award and then we were like, no, but we want to do new signs.
Yeah, change it.
One of the things that actually prompted us to sort of... We had some extra time on Wednesday because the invoice was not up from Diamond, so Patrick could do some stuff, but he couldn't do all of the things he normally does on Wednesday.
Most of my day is spent based off of that invoice.
Yeah, so we had some extra time, and we ended up doing all of the graphic novel shelf signs.
Yeah.
Well, not all of them. We did a few. The ones that we'd moved some stuff around.
The ones we still needed to do.
Well, I was going to say we did. We'd moved around the manga books, the crime mystery books, the horror books,
and the drama books.
Yeah, and so those signs had moved around, and they don't move around without getting destroyed. So we replaced all those, and part of the reason we did that was not just because it was kind of an eyesore and we had time, but also because there was a slim chance that we were going to be hosting a film crew on Thursday and Friday of the following week. We had been contacted Tuesday night.
Yeah.
This past week. I feel like we can talk about this.
Of course, yeah.
We were contacted Tuesday night, literally as we were leaving, by a location scout wanting to know if we were interested in hosting a film crew for a shoot. The shoot was planned the 18th and 19th, the Thursday and Friday.
Of next week.
Of November. So, barely 10 days after we were getting a phone call about it. And, could the scout come by the next day on Wednesday to sort of take some photos and then, be able to bring that back to the production crew? So the scout came by, took some photos.
We need to stop recording. The pre-order for Ringside Collectibles for AEW Unrivaled Series 8, the Best Friends wave, just went live.
Oh, no. We'll wrap this up real fast.
So... If I wait 15 minutes by the time we finish this, I'll probably be wave 3.
Do you want to jump over to your computer real quick?
I mean, maybe.
Okay.
I was only joking when I brought it up,
No,
but...
go ahead. I can finish this.
I'm staying right here, Dal.
Okay.
I'm just going to be very quiet.
I'm gonna
while
tell
you
this story.
slowly tell this story.
You're in wave 2 right now because of that.
God damn it.
So we had had the scout come by on that Wednesday,
Yes, we did. I'm right here.
And they took some photos, and at this point, we were like, it felt like it was going to happen. The part of the deal was the film crew is going to need full access to the store for 10 hours each day, Thursday and Friday, during normal operating hours, and that would mean closing the store. Now, we don't like closing the store for stuff, but we've done it before. Things like installing new carpeting. We were closed that Monday because, to install carpeting, you can't have people in the store. So we've done it for things like that. And Thursdays and Fridays, they're not the busiest days. So we felt like that's sort of fine. And, we'd be getting paid by the production team to be closed. So financially, it was like, we're not really losing anything for it. And, we can let people know, hey, we'll have a week to let people know, don't come in that Thursday and that Friday. So it wasn't going to be a huge deal. We'd gotten a notification from the location scout that the production crew was having some difficulty sourcing people for the Friday. So would it be okay if they did a Wednesday-Thursday shoot instead? And we had to go, oh God. Patrick immediately was like, absolutely not. And we'd sort of told them before, like, it's a good thing this is Thursday and Friday because Wednesday's the busiest day for any comic shop. So that's, Wednesdays aren't going to work. And they had offered, more money for that Wednesday to do it for a Wednesday-Thursday shoot. Are you done?
What? No, I've been here this whole time.
Oh, okay.
I was just going to ask you.
Yes.
When we're done recording.
Yes.
And I have the option to go buy some figures.
Right.
Did you want any best friend?
Which best friends?
Everybody but Wheeler Yuta.
No, I'm okay.
No Statlander?
No, I'm okay.
Even though she gave you a personal message?
She did, a personal
No Chucky?
A personal greeting.
No Chucky T?
No Chucky T.
No Trent with a question mark?
No question mark Trent.
New Orange Cassidy?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm good. I got an Orange Cassidy.
I was, hypothetically for later.
I appreciate that. How's that Statlander look? It's her pre-injury look though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So they came back to us and said, Wednesday, Thursday, would that work for you? And in general, like, Wednesday's a non-starter. We can't be closed on a Wednesday. But kind of thought about it and thought, okay, well, there's kind of a way we could do it, because what we really need to do is be available to subscribers. The walk-in traffic on a Wednesday, sure, but like, it's all, subscribers and new books. So what if the main store was closed for that Wednesday, but we kept Sidekicks open, and Patrick and I and Molly Jane were in Sidekicks, and we, took down some of the kids' books from the shelves and put the new comics for the week up, and we brought over all the club boxes, and remoted into the register so we could kind of still let people pick up their subscription stuff and buy all the new books. Couldn't get graphic novels and couldn't get older comics and, special items and stuff. But we would have a lot of things in Sidekicks for that Wednesday, so we'd be able to take care of people. The location scout got back to us and said, that's a no-go. We need, the whole store. And they went someplace else. But it was a thing where we had to tell them, like, not only is this kind of not great in the sense of, like, we make a lot of money on Wednesday and what you're offering kind of isn't sufficient to cover our losses. It's the bigger problem of you cannot be the comic shop that is closed on a new release day. Like, you just can't. That's not an option. Not only would we lose money and annoy our customers, which doesn't have a specific dollar amount attached to it, but is not something you want to do in a store, is irritate your most dedicated and loyal customers. It's the bigger problem of, we know for a fact that if you are a store in the city that did not get new books, or essentially cannot sell new books to people on a Wednesday, you will lose customers forever. Like, you will not just, someone won't just go to another store that week to get X-Men or whatever comes out. They will sign up for a subscription service there. You will not see them again. So yeah, I'm really curious if the film crew ends up like going with a completely different type of location, or if there is a store in a comic shop in Chicago that will be closed on a Wednesday of new releases, Wednesday the 17th. Because that's just, boy, that feels incredibly short-sighted to me. Like, that's the sort of thing where, we could be fine cordoning off a portion of the store, but the idea of actually, like, physically being closed, of being completely unavailable to our customers for an entire new release day, and then what would then turn out to be the day afterwards, we could not voluntarily do that. That would only be a situation where it was like, there is some structural damage to the store that precludes us being open. And even then, we would probably do
A car drove through our front window.
I didn't want to say anything because I feel like that's inviting it.
I'm just referencing that there is
Knock on wood.
so far, very recently it happened to a store in New Jersey. But
It's happened to several stores over the
yeah,
years.
like at least 3 that I can point to.
But even in those situations, we would probably do something where it's like, we will be in the garage selling you books. Like, you can't not have new books on your release days. Like, by all accounts, Marvel was looking at PRH in advance of the pandemic and the shutdown and stuff. But, anecdotally, like, Diamond being closed for a month and not distributing new books accelerated the plans of companies like DC and Marvel. Because, again, you can't not have new books out. You can't.
Sure.
So, yeah, unfortunately, we missed out on a bunch of, like, essentially free money.
Well, not only that, but I think you're discounting the fact that we all probably could have gotten...
I didn't want to say who it was.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, I'll delete that.
Yeah. I specifically avoided trying to say what it was because it's really not our place to say.
Which I knew because I was here the entire time.
And listening intently, I could see it in your eyes. This is a podcast where we're both looking in each other's eyes a whole lot. So, yeah.
Second wave, by the way.
See, again, you stopped to tell that little joke.
Well, let me rephrase that. Trent and Chucky, first wave.
Orange
Statlander, wave 2.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I wasn't getting...
You didn't get the OC?
No, I already
you
have
don't
OC.
need one, yeah.
Yeah, but...
Is that it? Is it just the 4 of them? That's the wave?
No, there's a new Mox and a new Jericho.
Okay. How's the Mox look?
Whatever.
Okay. I mean, some of those I could see eventually that you might want to switch out to because they look more like themselves now.
I think it's more in his, like, I'm gonna fight you in my black cargo pants look.
Okay. Like when he would do dark matches?
Well, everything now, yeah.
Sure.
But I mean, when he first started, like, sometimes he was in just trunks.
Okay. I don't really remember that.
Yeah.
That's how long ago it was.
That's the difference between Deathbringer, Moxley, and just Mox, I guess.
Yeah.
Jericho's
Death Rider.
Death Rider. Well, he was bringing death while he rides.
He was bringing the death he was riding.
And the Jericho is just a photo of Chris Jericho. They don't even have the mock-up of the figure.
Sure, okay. Money well spent.
You're listening to Contest of Challengers, where Patrick and Dal can't shut the up about toys.
So you're discounting the fact that we could have gotten potentially free product from whatever this commercial was for.
I don't think we would have. I don't think that was on the table. I think whatever they were going to be filming with was going to be something that they were not going to be distributing afterwards, nor would they have as just a local film crew, they don't have a hookup for that.
And so you mentioned that the money they offered for Thursday and Friday is like, okay, we could conceivably do these.
Yeah, it would not have been a financial hit. Like, we would not have closed the store unless it was like, does this make financial sense? And even on the Thursday and Friday one, it made financial sense. The Wednesday one was like...
Well, no, I'm talking about Thursday. It was Thursday, Friday first. It was basically... Like, we could conceivably do those dollar amounts on those days, but probably not.
Probably not. Not recently.
And not back-to-back.
Yeah.
But the Wednesday one was frankly insulting.
Yeah, they went up from what they were offering for Thursday and Friday, but it was, A, not enough, and then B, like, the long-term ramifications were incalculable.
And the Scout themselves understands how the comics industry works, but the people make the show, the commercial, don't. Right. And they even said, look, I tried to explain to them Wednesday is a big deal day for you.
Yeah,
So they did go up, but,
right.
I mean, the only way we would have said yes is if they doubled that number.
Even then, I would have been like, this is still... Again, it's not just a matter of, like, you were not open to make money. It's you have inconvenienced your customers on the biggest day of the week.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that... Yeah, it's... Again, I think there's a sense of, like, if there were, an actual problem with the building, if we were, unable, either because of, some sort of physical ailment or... some damage to the building, we were unable to be open. I think that's understandable. But when you're just like, we closed for filming, like, you did that on a Wednesday?
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Basically, you're saying, hey, customers, you don't matter as much to us.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure you said this, but I'll be checking around next Wednesday. Who's not open today?
Yeah, if it's a comic shop, I mean, God, I don't know why you would do that. Like, the money is...
Well, I could point to some stores that would probably take the money that was offered to us.
Sure, and I mean, again, the money is good, but it's like, God.
Like Variety, like Vigilante, like Brainstorm. They would all jump at that chance.
It's true. Keith's Comics.
Evil Squirrel. Wait.
Moondogs?
Keith's comic still exists.
Does it really?
Yeah, it's in Schaumburg.
Oh, wow, okay.
Keith is a super nice guy and a fan of ours.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that. What am I... Was there another city one I'm thinking of?
You're thinking of Larry's.
Larry's Comics, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Moondogs, sure.
Moondogs.
Joe Sonoros, Comic Kingdom.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, that was a thing where for, like, 24 hours, it was like, oh, that could be kind of fun for everybody else because I don't work Thursday or Friday, so I wouldn't have to cover those days.
All along, I'm like, I don't want to be here for 10 hours when I can't even do anything. Like, it wouldn't be...
You've got Marvel Unlimited now.
Which, can I just point out
yes.
how insanely stupid it is that it opens at the bottom and you got to scroll up to the top?
Does what now?
Every time I open It's Jeff...
Oh, yeah?
It's on the last page.
I can take a wild guess why that is.
Why?
We share an account, and I read it already.
I hate you so much.
I'm sorry. I didn't know it did that. Yeah, if you look at something and it's got a red bar at the bottom, that means someone on the account read it already. They don't have, like, a restart or something?
Nope.
That's really weird.
Nope. I figured, like, I'll just tap the time, because usually if you tap, like...
Yeah.
That closes it.
Oh, wow.
You son of a bitch.
I'm sorry.
They're really good, though.
They really are. I read all the chefs, like, within an hour of setting up the account. And then I've been reading the X-Men ones. So, this is the most Jonathan Hickman
What
X-Men
we're talking
thing
about
of all
is
time.
we just subscribed to Marvel Unlimited because of how much original content there is that'll eventually be put into collections.
I don't know if it will.
That we want to get a leg up on. And also, mainly because there's a Kelly Thompson Guri Hero, It's Jeff regular strip.
Yeah.
And it's a comic strip.
Yeah,
Let's call it that.
They did 11 of them so far. It's fantastic.
It's so good. And it's wordless.
Yeah, well, no, there's sometimes words. Jeffrey. He gets yelled at a bunch.
Okay, I've only read, I think, the first 4, and there's been no words yet.
Okay, yeah, I mean, they're
the last one I read was Cap's Shield one.
99% silent, yeah.
So we felt like it's a justifiable store expense.
Yeah, and I didn't really get the gimmick of Infinity Comics, because Marvel has done digital exclusive stuff or like the motion comic style stuff, and it's like that stuff got reprinted some way somehow. When we set up the account for Marvel Unlimited, immediately, on the desktop I set it up, and then I wanted to read It's Jeff, and I could find It's Jeff, but I couldn't read it. And I'm like, this is weird.
Same thing. I immediately, I'm like, all right, here it is. Where's the button?
Yeah,
why doesn't it open?
And I tried some other stuff, and it's like, oh, old Power Pack comics. Yep, just click that, and you can read through them, like, no problem. You do the full page, you can do the guided view sort of thing. But then I went to...
Great, so when I go to read those Power Packs, they'll be at the end as well.
Yeah. Then I went to the iOS app, and those you can read in the Infinity Comics on, because Infinity Comics are specifically designed for phone screens. They are designed as an endless scroll with essentially the width of your phone screen. I assume, like, if you do it on an iPad, it'll be a similar experience, probably.
Probably.
But you have to read, like, you can't read them on, like, Chrome. You have to read them this other way on your device. And they're great. They're really, really fun. The thing about the X-Men one, though, it's Jonathan Hickman and Declan Shalvey do an X-Men one called X-Men Unlimited. And it is the most Jonathan Hickman X-Men thing to bring us all the way back around, as we were talking about Inferno, which is, when Inferno was announced, it was like, oh, this is the end of Hickman stuff on X-Men for now. They're going to keep doing the current version of the X-Men franchise because all the writers love it so much. But don't worry, eventually he'll come back and he'll do the next act that he was going to do that they wanted to postpone. But now all of the stuff on Marvel.com's promotion is like the thrilling conclusion of Jonathan Hickman's version of the X-Men. And it's like, oh, he gone. He not coming back.
I don't know.
So the Hickman Shalvey X-Men comic, they do 4 chapters, and then it's like, oh, they'll be back someday to finish this, and then hand it off to another team to do completely different characters, a completely different story. They do 4 chapters, and then they're just like, oh, we're half done? That's okay, we'll be half done forever. Great, thanks. A+. Good scheduling, everybody. Nice follow-through.
Hell, life is always half done.
I guess.
It's just that some halves are shorter than, actual half.
I suppose. But yeah, the Infinity Comics stuff is pretty fun. I haven't really read, again, more than just those 2 franchises. It's Jeff, which is worth the price of admission all on its own, and then the X-Men stuff, which... the X-Men one is pretty fun. It is a real goofy Hickman Shalvey thing.
Who's the team?
It's mostly a Wolverine story.
Which Wolverine?
Logan. The gimmick is...
The lesser.
Yeah, the less good Wolverine. Boy Wolverine. the gimmick for the story is that AIM has kidnapped a bunch of mutants, and Wolverine Logan James Howlett has been sent to rescue them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll get to it.
And it's got some good jokes
at the end of each issue.
All right. I'm going to look and see if there's some way, if I scroll all the way to the end, if I can like reset it, essentially. But yeah, that's been a fun experience. There's a lot of good comics out there. I'm trying to think of what else I've read before.
What do you mean before?
Like other stuff I've been reading. I read that Wonder Woman Evolution. Is that what that's called?
Yeah.
Solid art, interesting story. No idea how to pitch it. Like, whatever the book is going to be about hasn't even really happened yet.
Okay.
So it's like, it's a solid Wonder Woman comic, but like,
Got ya. I have a huge backlog of PDFs to get through, and I don't know when I'll get to them, if at all. Like, my days are just stacked for the rest of the month.
Okay, so the problem is I haven't been going completely to the bottom.
Uh-huh.
When I do that, it changes from continue issue to read issue.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to go through all those other It's Jeffs, go all the way to the bottom to prime them up for you.
I mean...
So what you can do is you can just scroll all the way to the bottom. And then
go to the... Well,
when you go out, it'll be read issue.
Anyway. Oh, sure. It's my effort now.
Sorry.
I see.
I will, from now on, I will do that, just as a courtesy to other people using
That's kind of you.
I did not realize it did that way. I hate any streaming service that does not include profiles. That drives me crazy.
What do you mean? You mean like, so you can't bounce back and forth in case I have an account, you have an account? Like,
right.
Yeah, that's what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, like if you and I both use Disney Plus,
I thought you meant the
you have an
profiles of
account,
the creators.
I have an account. So things that we're both reading, or things we're both watching, are stored.
Yeah.
So if I'm watching Shang-Chi, which I was today, and then I pause it, when you go into Shang-Chi on your profile,
it doesn't pick up where you were.
It's wherever you were if you've watched it at all.
Yeah, sure.
Or what I can do is I can go to these other ones and just do mark as unread. There's a mark as unread button right there.
Okay. That works too.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I keep distracting you.
Well, I guess my ultimate point was you can now mark this episode as listened because you listened to it. Thanks for listening to it.
Who's Mark? And keep reading comics.
Mark it as listened.
Who's Mark it?
Markisan.
Oh.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.